Hi, good evening, and welcome to this Q&A session. We are here today to discuss everything that we need to know about the job keeper, job seeker, and every other benefit that the government is trying to provide us to help us during this tough time. During this pandemic, it has affected a lot of businesses across Australia, and the government has allocated billions of dollars to help every business in Australia to make sure that it sustains the economy. Today, we have experts in the industry joining us to help us know everything that we need to know about these benefits and how it's going to help us and what difference can we expect from these benefits. So, welcoming today, we have Mihir and Sam from Expertax Consulting. They are the experts in their industry, and they've had years of experience. They've been helping people in our community to tackle their everyday tax needs. So, Sam and Mihir, welcome to the show.
Thank you,
Hello.
Vamsi. Thank you for having us here today.
Thanks a lot for taking your time out during this tough time. I know that it's a very hard time for accountants out there due to all the paperwork that you guys have to do, but I really appreciate that you took the time out to come out and support us. Just before we begin, Sam and Mihir, can we just get a small introduction about yourself, just to make sure that we all know what you do and we all get an introduction about you?
Sure,
Sure.
Vamsi. I would like to thank you for taking your time and having you today. We are helping individuals and business clients since past 12 years. We're operating this practice. We were operating from CBD before. Now we are here in Preston. We help around more than 3 to 4,000 individual and business clients over the whole financial year. In terms of the service, what we give is for individual, we have tax returns, capital gains, rental property clients, etc. Plus for business clients, we provide payroll service, we provide them financials, details, etc. Apart from that, we have like a team of 7 people helping around us in our team. Would you like to add anything?
Yes. Thanks, Vamsi. Thanks for the introduction. Thanks, Mihir. Yes, as Mihir said, we are actually helping around a lot of individuals and business people at this moment. I know, this job keeper is going to be a very stressful time for them. However, it's going to be a bit of a relief in terms of cash flow, whatever they are having it into their company for businesses and for the sole traders as well. So yes, it's been a real critical time for everyone. So hope everyone actually goes through this situation in a better way.
Absolutely. There's a ray of light at the end of the tunnel. So we all hope that things get better as the days get as the day is coming. Right now, I want to introduce the pattern of this Q&A session to our audience, just so that they're well informed of what we are going to discuss. This
Yep.
Q&A session is going to benefit everyone and anyone who's a sole trader, who's an organization, an employer, and an employee. So these are the sects of people who are covered in this interview, and the interview is divided into 3 sections. Starting from the first, we are going to cover the small business benefits, and then we are going to move into the job seeker, the job keeper allowances by the government. We are going to discuss and know everything in detail, and then comes the individual taxes. We're going to discuss how individuals are affected by these new grants. So to begin with, we want to know about the Victorian government's business support fund of $10,000. So could you please explain us everything that we need to know about it, and what's the eligibility and what are the benefits and what is the process and everything?
Okay, so I'll pretty much start with that. So with this business support fund, what Victorian government has introduced is to help small businesses. So it's like a 500 million package they have released. For the eligibility for that package, the employer, the business has to employ staff. They should be able to prove that they were highly impacted with the closure. It's like a compulsory closure. Their turnover has to be more than 75,000, and payroll has to be less than 650,000 per year. Why they have this criteria is just to prove that they are small businesses. Plus, what they have to do is they have to lodge their badge and submit the latest badge to prove all this above criteria. What they've done is they have given about 20 different criteria, which they have defined that which business they fall under this particular scheme. For example, like cafes, they fall under this scheme because they can't be open, they can't serve clients anymore. It's like takeaway only. So they're definitely, if we take gyms, swimming pools, so they are all affected with this scheme as well. And Sam, would you like to add anything extra on that, or?
As you said, like cafes and restaurants and indoor sports center, everything will be falling under this scheme. There are few people who are like directly or indirectly been affected as well. But however, this is like very very strict, where the government has taken measures that it has to satisfy all the conditions so that actually they can get the $10,000 grant. So yes, anything compulsory closed will definitely fall under this scheme. And as Mihi
And
said, like they have eligibility criteria as well. And the important part of it is the business has to employ people. If they are not employing people as a sole trader, then they are not eligible for the scheme.
just $10,000. And apart from there are few other grants which a particular council is giving. But for that particular, we need to check in the particular council. For example, Benil Council is giving $5,000 plus $1,000 again to the eligible employers.
Okay, that's great. It's interesting to know how there are different domains in the industry, and each domain is affected in a different way, depending on
Yeah,
how they are serving customers and how they're in contact with customers every day. But we do know that a lot of people have applied for these grants, and I personally know a lot of companies' applications have been rejected. So why is it that an application gets rejected of a company, although it is getting affected due to what's happened because of COVID-19? Can you please explain a little more on that?
sure. Yes, I'll start off with it. Yes, as you said, like even I do actually know that few of our clients has been receiving a rejection letter. There are few reasons behind it. I can share some of them. If the industry code, which is not matching to the ABN register, then it's going to be a problem. Because if it's running under a trust or a company, and the name of the trust and the company is going to be a little bit different to the cafe and restaurant business, so the government will not know that what business they are running under this name. So we might need to actually add a business name number or to the ABN, really satisfy that what businesses they are actually running under that particular structure of the company or a trust. So this is one thing. And the second one is if at all they have a big list where they say like cafes, restaurants, indoor sports center, beauty parlors, and all those like any retail outlets which is compulsory closed. Apart from that, there is like a lot more businesses as well which has been affected. So if the business doesn't fall under this list, then they have a basic criteria to reject it. However, been rejected, you can give them a call and explain more about it, and tell them that what is the exact what is the exact reason for rejection. So they take on case to case basis as well.
Okay,
Yep, Sam, pretty much we covered everything.
sure. So anyone's application which gets rejected, um, they have a chance to get in touch with the government and explain how this pandemic has made a difference to their business. Um,
That they
yeah.
have a call
Okay.
center number as well, where you can give them a call and definitely explain the situation. So I know few clients of mine who has already done that, and who has successfully got the funds as well.
The
Okay.
basic
That's good.
criteria for the difference what we facing here, Vamsi, is that what we have noticed is when they initially get their ABN registered or recorded, the business what they have mentioned there is probably different to what they're doing currently. For example, as Sam said, we actually had a client where they had a cafe, but it was registered under like a different domain. So we actually went on ABR, and then we updated their business criteria, and then they have received the grant of $10,000.
Interesting. Now, apart from this $10,000 grant, what are the other benefits or grants available by the state and the central government for small businesses?
Okay, so the government has actually provided different grants. Like as we are in Victoria, we obviously know about the Victorian government grant, which we were talking about. But every state has a different grant. For New South Wales, for Western Australia, South Australia, they have a different grant, and the amount also is not the same $10,000. It's a bit different, and the conditions and the criteria are a bit different. Depends on how the state has accepted. So they do actually have a different grants to the different to different states. And apart from the state grants, as Mihir told, there is a lot more than the state grants which is going on. For the councils, every council is being given a small number of grants as well, where they could support the local community. Like we are in Banjul, and we already got an email that if at all we are eligible for so and so conditions, then we can actually apply for the grant. So similarly, like if anyone, any small businesses which has been registered inside a small particular area, like a particular council, they definitely will get an email, and based on the email conditions, they can definitely apply for the grant as well. It can be either $2,000, $5,000, or $7,000, depends on the council.
Mihir, would you like to add anything?
So see, yeah. So as Sam said, each state has a different package. For example, for Victoria, we have $10,000 plus each council has a different amount as well. Plus, what they've done is they have in Victoria they have given payroll tax relief. So for big businesses who pay more than $650,000 wages, they pay payroll tax, which they won't have to pay because of this special relief. Other states, for example, New South Wales has got $10,000, same as Victoria. Again, you need to follow India. Queensland has got a grant as well. Tasmania has got $15,000 there as well. So again, each state is coming out there to help on this difficult situation.
It's
Yes,
not.
absolutely.
And sorry. It's not only about the grant. There are some other reliefs as well. Like there is for the rental. There is they are doing a little bit of a relief on the rentals, and land tax is being looked into as well. So lot more than the grant, we have a bit of relief here and there too.
Yes. And coming to the grants and reliefs, can you explain us a little more about the instant asset write-off?
Sure.
So basically, for businesses, they had instant asset write-off of a threshold of $30,000. What that means is, if you buy an asset, excluding GST, if the amount is 30,000 or below, you can instantly write off within the same year itself of the same financial year. They have taken that threshold from 30,000 to $150,000. What that means is, if you were to buy or install any equipment or any asset or motor vehicle for your business, now the threshold is $150,000, which means you can buy and write it off in the same year.
Okay, so just to wrap up, that was all the benefits and grants available for small businesses. And moving forward, we will address the job seeker and the job keeper allowances by the government. So the next section we'll be discussing about the job seeker allowance and the job keeper allowance for the employers and the employees. So Sam, could you please explain us what's the difference and how does these two allowances differ, and what are the basic criteria?
Sure. Job seeker and job keeper, when it was previously introduced maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago, there was very small amount of legislation or small amount of details written to it. But in last 3 weeks, now it's been like almost pages and pages of information which has been written. So which means like almost more than 50 to 60% of the scenarios has been covered, and the testing and eligibility criteria are like very extensive. It's not as easy as it used to be 2 or 3 weeks ago. For the job seeker is primarily being taken care by Centrelink. So we have no role to do about the job seeker, and it depends on the individual. They need to identify themselves and say like if they are eligible for job keeper or job seeker. So if they are eligible for job seeker, then they have to go to MyGov, to their own personal MyGov, and apply via Centrelink. So that's a job seeker. And in regards to JobKeeper, what happens is if you're a sole trader, so the biggest advantage about the JobKeeper is the sole traders can actually apply for JobKeepers. So the sole traders or any businesses who employs people can actually apply for the JobKeeper if they are affected by this COVID-19 situation. So what that means is the eligible people, eligible employees, they will be getting a $1,500 worth fortnightly, 6 months time, to maintain the cash flow and not to get away from the employment. So this is basically what the job keeper means is. And for example, the sole trader, if a sole trader was doing a small maybe a painting business or driving Uber or in a taxi industry or any other small work where the sole trader was doing, and however because of the lockdown he won't be able to do anything now, so he gets a benefit of a job keeper. So having said that, for job keeper, employees or the sole trader or the businesses has to satisfy the condition. So the primary eligibility criteria is to be satisfied. They have to be an Australian resident or a citizen, or they have to have a 444 visa, which is a special visa which the Australian government has provided. And outside these three conditions, none of the other visa holders, unfortunately, are not eligible for this job keeper.
Okay. So we did have a lot of people comment and messages and ask us what would happen in case of Uber drivers and delivery drivers who are affected because of this, or taxi drivers for that sake. Will the organization, for example, Uber, would claim that, or would the sole trader himself will have to claim that benefit?
Uber as an organization cannot claim because Uber is actually not employing them. They are just a contractors or a subcontractors to Uber. So which means like everyone who is doing Uber are a sole traders. So the sole trader, they themselves has to go and apply for the job keeper, or we can actually apply on their behalf for the job keeper. So that's how the job keeper works. And also for sole traders who are doing, as you asked me, Uber, taxi industry, and Uber Eats, if they are a resident or a citizen here, and if they can satisfy the conditions, then they can apply for it. These are the very basic conditions, and there are a lot more to it, but these are the very
Yes,
basic
there are.
conditions. If they satisfy these, then they
One.
can
Mm.
definitely apply for it.
Okay. And you did mention that it was $1,500 a fortnight for the job keeper allowance, which is granted to the business, not to the employee. The employee gets the benefit from the business.
That's right.
Great.
If the company or if the business is employing people, then it's been given to the employer, and the employer's obligation is to pass on to the employee. And
Okay,
there's been all measures taken care where the employee needs to have that $1,500 into his bank account, and all his like TFN number is being linked with ATO, so that ATO makes sure that it's been receiving to the employee.
sure. And in this case, Sam, what about the PAYG and superannuation?
Okay, so PAYG, the tax withholding for the job keeper is mandatory. Like for the $1,500, businesses has to withhold the tax. However, it's not mandatory for the superannuation. So they don't need to pay the superannuation for $1,500. If the employer wishes, then they can pay, but it's not mandatory as per the law.
Okay. And is there any deadline for applying for this job keeper?
The initial deadline for enrollment of JobKeeper was 30th of April. However, like closer to the deadline, the government has now extended it until 31st of May. So we still have like another 3.5 weeks left out to apply for it.
Okay. And we know that this pandemic had a lot of impact on the cash flow of many businesses. So I do know that the government is supporting, but in case if the employer doesn't have the necessary funds to pay for the employee at that moment, how does he have to manage that situation?
Okay. So, say for example, if a business is eligible for the job keeper, and if they are running a cafe shop or restaurant with the 10 employees, so if they don't have necessary funds to pay them before they get the job keeper payment, they can opt to the bank actually supporting the interim cash flow until they get the job keeper payment.
What do you say on this, Meher? Do the
Yeah,
businesses
so
have to
look,
go
I think
to the
we
bank
had
for
these
support?
questions as well. We had these questions as well, like most common questions which probably you covered. One is tax and super, which Sam already answered. The second one is cash flow, like employees with probably 10 employees will have like having to pay $15,000 a fortnight before having that money from ATO. It's a bit of a tough call. So banks are jumping in to help them for the interim cash flow. All they need to prove is that they are eligible for job keeper payments, and with that proof, submission proof, we give a reference number to them. They are able to get that interim cash flow.
So there are a lot of temporary residents as well whose jobs are affected because of this pandemic. And what about their case? Because they don't seem to be eligible for this job keeper payments. So in this case, how do we address the problem?
Yes, as you said, there are a lot of temporary residents who are not eligible because both job keeper and job seeker are primarily for residents and citizens of Australia. But temporary residents are given a little bit of relief where they can access their super, early access to their super if they are really affected by this pandemic. So that's an to take a little bit of cash flow from their super, and it has like a condition to it where they will be able to take like close to $10,000 for this financial year and another $10,000 in next financial year.
And the job keeper payments, these are
Yep.
valid for the next 6 months. The validity of this program is for the next 6 months, as specified by the federal government. So, what would happen after 6 months?
Okay. As you said, like yes, it is actually valid for 6 months. Once you enter into the program, it is valid for 6 months. But it doesn't have a string attached to it. Means you need to do a monthly reporting. So once you are eligible, you need to do a monthly reporting. Say for example, if your businesses gets better in month 4 or 5, and if you're not able to meet the eligibility criteria, then you can't claim for those fortnights. So it's going to be on case to case basis and month to month basis as well. So how the situation gets eased out, we need to take it from there. So at the moment, like the maximum is 6 months, which is being provided by the government, which is 27th of September 2020. So after that, honestly, there is no updates as yet. So if the situation gets better, the businesses here should boom as well. Or if the situation is not getting better, then again, I'm sure that government is going to come up with something more attractive too.
What do you think, Meher, is going to happen?
Yeah, no, look, I agree. Like the way government has tackled COVID-19 so far, I think it's getting better. I think they are trying to uplift some restrictions from next week onwards. I think that's what I read that, this morning in the newspapers. And what we are seeing that is a lot of businesses are actually getting better in terms of the cash flow and getting their better in their profits as well compared to what it was in April. So the way it's moving, I mean, after 6 months, once this job keeper ends, hopefully they would not need any further help from government and they can support themselves from their own.
Absolutely, Meher. That's the hope. I do see that when we look at the economy, how the government has supported the economy from falling further and further, and now that things are starting to stabilize, we definitely see that the good days are around the corner. Now, the third section of this interview would address the individual taxpayers. So, as an individual taxpayer, what are the benefits that they're getting? For example, let's start for people who are working from home. A majority of people whose jobs can be done remotely, they're preferred to work from home. So, what are the benefits by the government for these people who are working from home? Are there any tax benefits, or are there any other benefits? Like, for example, they use the internet, they use a lot more electricity than before. So, is the government doing anything to support tax benefits for these individuals who are working from home?
So what they've done is, of course, for to answer that specific question of work from home, because we're expecting a lot of inquiries based on this work from home, particularly this year, because from 18th March onwards, this compulsory restriction came into place where they have to work from home. What government has done is to make it easy, simpler for everyone. They are giving 80 cents per hour on expenses. What that means is they don't have to keep invoices. All they need is they know what, and they can get 80 cents per hour on the hours worked from 18th March till 30th June. If, for example, any employees, they have spent more money in terms of setting up their desk, buying laptops, screens, etc., they can claim more as well. So we need to find out a way if 80 cents is more, or the actual claim is more, but they have an option to choose whatever is higher. The second thing, which just to add on, a superannuation early withdrawal scheme. If an individual has lost the job, or they are eligible, or they fall in that criteria, or their income has reduced by 30%, they can access to the super early maximum of $10,000. So why I just wanted to mention this point again was because government is and they're really very fast. Who's is applying? We are seeing that almost getting refunds in almost 6 business days, which is actually really fast from the government.
Absolutely. More than 6 million people at the moment are getting benefited because of this program. And we can only imagine if in a short period of time, this benefit has been passed on to 6 million people, that's more than 25% of the population. So we can imagine how efficient the government systems are. But when it comes to the individuals claiming their taxes from the hours that they work, you said to me that there's no need to keep any invoices, or they just have to record the number of hours. Is there any threshold limit as to how much they can claim, or anything as such?
Which is like real mandatory stuff. However, in terms of invoices is then big, like an biggest record or an audit evidence. So, which means like if they are buying a laptop, or if they are buying an desk or a monitor or anything which is more than $300, it's always recommended to keep an invoice, because people can go buy like almost $1,000 worth of items which are like really helpful for work from home. So they would actually need to keep the invoices in such occasions. In general terms, if they record the hours, then we could actually claim the number of. But yes, like big asset items, invoices recommended, not recommended. It is mandatory to keep.
The only thing which I
Okay,
would like
wonderful.
to add to what Sam said, Vamsi, is like again, like how your question was to like, do they have a specific amount or specific limit? ATO has not given any specific limits, but of course they need a substantiation. They need to see invoices, and the term what it uses on a reasonable basis. So what they say is a reasonable amount. So they haven't provided a reasonable amount as such as a upper limit. However, a normal person what they spend on a reasonable basis. So that's what the term is.
Absolutely. Are there any other tax benefits or claims that we as individuals need to be aware of?
See, this is an biggest advantage which the government has now given, which is the work from home based on whatever is happening around. However, like it's going like another 7 weeks before this financial year ends, and I'm already reading some articles that the government is actually looking into some other tax reliefs as well for the individuals. So at this stage, like we are not sure like what the other benefits are going to be, but hopefully there are going to be some more benefits as well for individuals as a taxpayer.
I hope, Sam.
Yeah.
Mihir, would you want to add anything to what Sam said?
Yes, so like, as Sam said, because it's all new for every one of us. Government, each day we are reading or getting some new news from government in terms of what benefits they have added. So particularly for individuals, I'm pretty sure because the way they're going, they are going to. We had this article as well. They are looking on to getting some more tax offsets, particularly for this year, to help individuals. Last year they had lower middle income tax offset where they paid $1,000 extra last year. However, for COVID this year, planning to do something similar. We don't know any further details on that at this stage. However, something should come up in next few weeks' time before June ends.
Absolutely, Mihir. You guys have been really wonderful. You answered all the questions. Although the times are very tough, and I know that you guys are the busiest right now with all these benefits and everything, and still you made so much time to talk to us, answer all our questions. I'm pretty sure that the questions that our viewers had given us, everything has been answered so far. And if you have any more questions, viewers, please feel free to comment or send us a message. We will be happy to present them to the experts in the industry and get the answers for you. And Sam and Mihir, on behalf of everyone, thanks a lot for joining us today. We couldn't ask for more. You answered all the questions really well, and we really hope that things are going to change and everything's going to be back to normal.
No
Yeah,
problem.
hope for the best.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Sam.
Thank you,
Samsi.
Thank you.
Hamsi.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank
No
you.
worries. Thanks. Bye.
Thank you.